In this video, we're going to rebate the edge of this shutter using this router. Now, you use the same principle if you're rebating a door or anything like that. But in hindsight, before I constructed this shutter, I should have rebated this board first. It'd been darn sight easier, and I could have just done it on a table saw then and cleaned up with a carriage plane. Now, the thing is, you see, I didn't. Like an idiot. I did later on, mind, on the other shutters, but on this one I didn't. So I've had to succumb to the router. Now, I know you could use a router table, but manhandling a large board or door or anything like that on top of a router table is a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And we have these ledges in the way in this case. So there are some problems about using a router on the edge of a board. Now, as you see here, where I've already routed this part here, we've now only got like 13 millimeters of actual wood to balance the router on. It's not very helpful, is it? But there are solutions, so no fret. No, I've already done a couple already. Now the thing is, first of all, you need to extend your fence like this on your router. It's basically just a piece of wood that I've screwed on the side there, and I've gently pushed it into the router cutter as it's rotating to cut a bit of a clearance for the router cutter. Then set it to the right depth and also to the right distance from the edge. Now, whenever you do anything like this, what you don't want to do is set your router up so the fence is on this side, but the cutter's on the other side. Because what can end up happening is, unless you're using a double fence, and I can't really do that here, unless you're using a double fence, you're going to end up going like that. Okay, and then taking a chunk out of the edge of your board because you're cutting from the opposite face and you're cutting into the bit you want to keep. So don't do that. Now, you could do it with an actual double fence, so effectively on both sides of your workpiece, like so. There's pros and cons of doing that. One is, if you're taking all the meat out in one go, you're going to get breakout, especially on pine. This will splinter like hell, this stuff does. And what happens, it'll just jam up around the cutter and clog all the cutter up around the side here. And also, you'll just splinter all the edge of your workpiece. So I tend to scribe at first with the router going forwards. You don't normally do that, but I usually get to go forwards with the router very gently, just enough just to take out about, I don't know, no more than 3 millimeters, 1/8 of an inch or something like that. And that way, I've scribed the edge, so I'll get less tear out. Now, if you're using carbide cutters and stuff like that, you'll probably be able to do a better job. I ain't got any of the right size. So there are some other things we've got to think about. Okay, let's put this down here. So we've got our fence, that's fine. But we're still, okay, we can balance on the side of the fence now because the fence is a bit deeper, but like on this side, I've got the ledges in the way. So where I've got the fence, if this fence is right down here, it's going to butt into my ledges. That's a bit of an issue, isn't it? So I've only still got a relatively shallow fence, but it's still deeper than the fence I had on there before. So it definitely helps, all right? But there is something else we can do. What we do is we make sure that we have more material to balance on. So you can put a straight edge on the side here or a piece of wood, and it can be wider or thicker than this piece if you like. So I just literally clamp that on there like so, all right? Then we'll clamp it on the ends out of the way of the actual router. But there's something else we have to worry about. You see, when we're using the router, when it comes to the ends, there's hardly anything there to balance on, and it's so easy to end up, as you come along here like so, doing that, and you end up taking a chunk out of the end. If you've done this before, you know what I'm talking about. If you've done, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because it's so easy to do. And you've got to be so ginger, and you've got to make sure you're holding that, that fence is tight on, and you're really aware of what you're doing, and then you can do it in one hit. Don't worry about that. Make life easy for yourself because sooner or later you're gonna make a mistake. So what I've created is these little things, right? Little extensions for the shutter itself, and these would go on there like so. Now I couldn't have these any higher than what I've done there because of the actual fence on the router itself. If I rebated that in, if I set that flush into my new fence, well then there wouldn't be an issue. But at the moment it's sitting proud by about 6 mil, so that wasn't going to work. So what I done was I just had it lower. I'd liked it a bit higher, but I don't lower for that reason. But it works anyway, so I'm not that worried. So what we're going to do is then, first of all, we'll put our additional, what do you call this, girth? We'll stick our girth, all our metal, our girth metal on there like so. It could be wood, it doesn't matter as long as it's straight. And then we'll set one of these on one end and one of these on the other end. So that one's for that end here, okay? And I'll use another little clamp like this just to hold it while I clamp it together. And I'm going to use G-clamps on this to hold it on because they're secure. Oh, damn. I moved my metal. That didn't work very well. I'll go from under. I'll go from behind. That's what she said. Well, not quite right, is it? No, depends if she's got. No, unless she's got her own appendage. Right, so. I know I'm wrong. So that one is going to go on there like so. Notice the piece of wood's there, this little extra little piece there, which is also a fence. And that is all these pieces of wood, all the same thickness, including the fence. So that is going to be set flush with the with that on there like so. So I'll grab the other. I'll grab that one while I've got it in my hand. Clamp it on there like that temporarily. And before I get carried away, I want to make sure that my fence rides on this and it's not in the way. Yeah, and the same on this side, so it's in line. So what I'll do is I'll just literally grab I'll use my little forehammer, just for a bit of tapping purposes. Just continue to do a bit of tapping. Got to tap, I'm tapping. Oh, blimey, oh, behave. Right, so just push that on there like so, and then I make sure that fence is up to the edge, or the new fence is up to the edge of my little block of wood. So tap that like so. Okay, I remove it like so. Grab a clamp like so. Now, because it's in the way, you've got a couple of options here. One is grab another one of these little clamps, or even one like this. You don't want it to move, you see. What I do, so I'll just stick that on there for now. Right, it's just temporary. So I remove this clamp down here. I know you couldn't see that very well. Just to show you what I mean. So I'm now going to clamp this onto there. I usually put it onto the back side. So, oh, it's a fly. Go away, fly. Let's just tighten that one there like that. Like so. Obviously, anything that's metal, you don't want in the way of anything that's, you know, a cutting edge. Now, so that's not in the way. I've got this extra little extension on here, like so. I've got this little stop on the back here, and I'll explain what that's for. You'll see in a minute what that's for. And we've got our straight edge clamped on there. It seems like a bit of a faff, but once you actually start doing it, it's actually really easy. Let's do the same with this one over here. That seemed to work. Make sure that is up to the edge. Don't want it high, you want it lower. Flush. Right, so let's just make sure that goes on there like that. In there you. What's going on? So I can remove that one now, and now I can put a G-clamp on the bottom there. So what I've done is I've created a little bit of extra support with this piece of aluminium extrusion, and also I've created some support for my ends. Now I'm going to show you how it works, because it does. But just take my word for it, it works. And if you're doing a lot of cuts like this and you don't want any issues, and you don't want to just try and do it all in one hit, in other words, have a double-sided fence on the router, which I think is a mistake, because take too much material in one go, this works. So allow me to show you it in... Flipping flies in here, I feel like Mike Pence. Anyway. Right, so I've already done that area there, so we're going to carry on this area over here. Now, what I'm going to do is, though, I ain't scribed that enough there, so I'm going to scribe that a little bit more on the end here. No, I'm not. No, I'm just going to go for it. Let's go for it, shall we? I've already scribed it a little bit. Now, what's happened now, that stop I got on the back here, this stop there, this fence is basically going between that and that piece of wood. So that can't go that way. If that can't go that way, and it's pivoting on this on that corner there against the fence, it can't go that way. Which means you're right off the end of your door without actually taking a chunk out of your door, off the corner. So let me show you. Let me show you something actually, because if I take this off here like so, now if I didn't scribe that first, you see all this here, potentially you're going to have tear out on this corner. That is a tear out that's happening, but I've scribed it. In other words, I took one light pass first. And when I do my light pass, I wasn't too fussy about it. Now you could set it with the fence, but then you've got to reset it for all your main cuts. All I do is just hold it at a slight angle using the fence as a bit of a rough guide. Now what you can do is, which I thought about, I thought I might actually even still do that, I might have a couple of pieces of wood glued at like an L bracket, and that which gives me an extra halves the actual cut, distance to the cut. I might do that actually, so it slides over the top of that on that end, and the same on this end at the back end of the fence, and that way it'll move the cutter a little bit away from the actual cut. But I do that before I actually add all this material, because I wouldn't have removed very much. I'd only remove a little tiny bit off the edge. You're not going to do any damage at that, so you don't need all this for that first pass to scribe it. So I think I might do that in another video. See? It works. So now I have a relatively neat rebate done with the router. I've got the exit cut is nice and straight. The entrance cut here is nice and straight, and I took no lumps out. We don't want a lumpy rebate. And I've got a really annoying fly in it that keeps bouncing on me. Blimey, it's humid at the minute. And I just run a bit of sandpaper down there, so I just take the arises off, like so. You can do it with hand planes, you like a little block plane. Good. I'm pleased with that. Yes, good. Nice one. And it's nice and true. Makes it even better. Now, if you are worried and you haven't got 100% true, what you can use is something like one of these. This is a carriage plane, right? Some people are badger plane, but badger planes, the actual plane iron's set an angle. This one's not 90 degrees, so it's a carriage plane. Now, with a carriage plane, because there's no side to the body, you can actually take it right into the edge if you want. So if you want to take a shaving, so it's set really shallow. So let me show you. I have to do it on the other door now, wouldn't I, if I do this? So it matches up. Alright, should be about right. Whenever you loosen you draw the plane on, you've got to do a couple of turns forwards to get rid of the slack. So let's have a look. There you go. So you can clean it up with one of them if you want. Or a rebate plane, or even a little bull nose like this one here. You know, that's enough to just clean it off. You know, especially if you've got anything like you think it's like not perfectly true. Well, that is. If it isn't perfectly true, well then you might want to remove it, because what you must have is two rebates in a perfect marriage of each other. Otherwise, they're not going to go together properly. One's going to interfere with the other. You all know, do you? I don't think you do you? Oh, I like this. Do you know what? There's stuff in my hand tools, isn't there? There really is. I just love using hand tools. Machines are just loud and noisy. Did I just show my bum? That won't be the first time. Anyway, thanks for watching my little video on how to rebate the edge of a door or shutter like I'm doing here. It's the same principle, okay? If you're doing a door, you've got a little bit more meat to play with, because obviously they're going to be thicker, about 40, 44 mil if it's a fire door, for instance. If it's a French door, it'd be about 30, yeah, but old French doors, they'd be about 30 millimetres to 40 millimetres, depends. But yeah, that's how I rebate the edge of a door using these two little extensions. Effectively, I've mimicked the adding extra length, and also mimicked adding extra width. It's all about the girth, you know. Ask the missus, she knows. Toodaloo.